Hey guys, my name's Killian and welcome to the channel. I'm a local real estate investor, agent, and Airbnb owner here in DFW. And today we're going to be reviewing a video in regards to the recession and Airbnb that the Wall Street Journal put out. So let's dive right in.
This is a tiny home on Airbnb. So far this year, this listing has brought in over $20,000 for its host. The typical U.S. host in 2021 earned over $13,800, according to the company.
The tiny home doesn't cost a lot to build, and yet it could charge hundreds of dollars a night.
Airbnb posted a profit in its second quarter, as guests booked a record number of stays and experiences, and hosts increased prices for rentals amid high inflation. But people didn't book as much as analysts had projected, and the company's summer bookings forecast fell short of expectations.
Obviously, it's an incredibly dynamic period of time, but I'm still expecting an incredibly strong period of travel, even if people pull back spending some.
So keep in mind, this article was put out in August of 2022, and they immediately went over numbers for 2021. As we've discussed in other videos, the numbers for 2021 are going to be inflated or just way better than the regular Airbnb market. So keep that in mind, and they're already kind of going over that, and they're going into the summer slump, if you will, that 2022 has experienced.
How did the largest home-sharing platform in the U.S. navigate its biggest crises, and could it borrow those lessons to weather fears of a recession? This is the economics of Airbnb.
Airbnb started around the time of the 2008 financial crisis. This was a time when people were really hard hit by the recession, and they were looking for a way to make an extra buck.
In 2016, the company launched Airbnb Experiences, which let travelers book classes, tours, and outings. Airbnb also spent more as it grew.
The CEO branched out into all kinds of things, like he wanted to have a media studios, he wanted to branch into transportation.
And then the pandemic hit. Business was down 80%, forcing Airbnb to take on $2 billion in debt and pause all non-essential projects. Summer of 2020 was a turning point for Airbnb.
People started quarantining with their families. Friends started taking staycations while they could work remote. So that's something that definitely benefited Airbnb.
Local travel became its stronghold, and people started.
So keep in mind, people are still using Airbnbs to work from home. So one thing that happened during the pandemic was that people became more accustomed to working from home. Well, a lot of people still are able to do that. They're not going back to the office, even though we're in late 2022 now. So we still have those customers from that. And I don't know if that'll ever change. But one thing's for sure is that it was definitely stronger in 2021. And that's kind of something that they're going over in case you aren't aware of how the Airbnb market works.
Started using the platform for longer stays. The company was one of the hottest public listings of 2020, though its stock price has fallen since then amid a broad market cool-off. In August, Airbnb projected record third-quarter revenue on the back of higher rental prices and said it expects to post its first full-year profit this year.
A lot of businesses have lucky moments, but there's something to be said about getting lucky and also being able to ride that wave and capitalize on it.
That's what Airbnb says it has done from the start.
Back then in 2008, a lot of people turned to hosting because they were losing their homes, high housing prices. And a lot of people, because they didn't have as much money, were looking for more affordable ways to travel than ever before.
That really helped them bring a lot of people who were looking for ways to make up for lost income onto the platform. And you can really see them capitalize on timing during the pandemic as well.
Airbnb redesigned its app and website to focus on local stays during the pandemic. Last summer, it launched a flexible search feature, which curates trips for people who don't know where they want to go.
The pandemic and remote work.
This is something that's really important that they kind of just brushed over. Airbnb over any other platform for short-term rentals, what they do is they kind of choose your spot for you. So if you go onto the main homepage, it's going to show places all over, regardless if you're just interested in one. Say you want to go to Telluride, it's going to show multiple mountain towns across the US. And they kind of want to choose that spot for you based on which Airbnbs they like the most. Now, this article is relevant because just recently, last month, they changed the whole platform of Airbnb on the homepage to where they push out the properties that they want to see the most, which is great for the hosts that are on that main page, not so great for the other ones. So just keep that in mind, and they kind of brushed on that. Whenever you are using the app, look out for that.
Gave us that flexibility. We could travel during the week and still work remote. So Airbnb starts noticing this trend, and it says, oh my God, we can we can sort of capitalize on this, and they do.
In May, Airbnb launched another redesign of its search tool that split homes into more than 50 categories as a way to steer people to places they wouldn't otherwise have picked.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to fill existing homes instead of adding more and more homes.
Some analysts say this is key to the company's future growth since global occupancy rates are low. When it comes to addressing safety issues on its platform, some cities have complained that Airbnb has been too hands-off.
They're not actively monitoring these properties because, frankly, they can't. They don't own them. So that's really where a lot of their problems stem from.
4 people killed, another 4 hurt, all of it happening in a house rented out on Airbnb.
So I don't really like this segment of the article because then you could go into a trickle-down effect of so many other issues. So if they were going to do that, it would be obsolete. If we were to take that same info for a hotel, if they were going to be held on the same standard, oh, there's crime or shooting here, and take that with the hotels, it would be uncomparable. I think that you'd find way more crime in the hotel space than you ever would in Airbnbs, but that's just my opinion.
After a 2019 Halloween shooting, the company announced safety measures, including a 24/7 neighborhood hotline to field complaints.
We've banned all parties globally on Airbnb. We have a risky reservation queue where we look at any suspicious activity, and we have a pretty hands-on team that's using some pretty advanced machine learning technology to essentially identify anything we think is suspicious. If it is, we'll continue to seek more information.
The company says the number of party complaints have dropped 44% in the last 2 years. Airbnb has also been trying to reduce that rate further by doing things like blocking 1 or 2 night stays on New Year's Eve and Halloween for guests without a history of positive reviews. But incidents keep happening.
And that's also up to the host's discretion. So if you're an experienced host and someone tries to book on New Year's Eve or for Halloween or whatever it is, and you see that the person has 0 reviews, most of the time you can not accept that booking and not be penalized for it because they don't have any reviews. If there's someone that has 55-star reviews and they're wanting to stay at my place, I will 100% accept it.
Earlier this year, we had a shooting in Pittsburgh, and again, people were injured.
City officials have also blamed Airbnb for ruining the long-term rental market in some small communities.
What's happened is a lot of people are just snapping up properties and renting them, and as a result, locals don't have enough.
It's a free market.
Properties to rent long-term. Airbnb doesn't think that it's actually affected the long-term rental market. But, if you ask city officials, they have a different story.
For example, in 2020, the mayor of Sedona, Arizona, a tourist hotspot, said that the demand for Airbnb rentals worsened the shortage of affordable housing and demolished the long-term rental market.
If we are part of the problem, we are going to work with cities. That's why we've done numerous agreements with cities to create restrictions. We actually do want Airbnb to get more and more into long-term housing. We want people to really feel invested in the community.
One of the things that Airbnb is doing now is it's trying to direct people to areas where it has supply. And that sort of also takes the load off of certain places that everyone might go to and that might get sort of overburdened.
In April, Airbnb announced that its employees can work from almost anywhere without a pay cut.
So if more business...
So just pause before the end of this video. They're doing a really good job of hitting multiple different areas with issues and solutions in Airbnb. They're talking about long-term versus short-term housing. They're talking about unique Airbnbs versus the regular boring ones. So they're talking a little bit about everything, but just keep in mind, I feel like they're not leaning one way or the other on whether it's bad. They're just presenting, hey, this is what's happening and here's the information, you decide. So that's one thing that I do like. They're not telling you which way you should feel about Airbnb. So
businesses do follow Airbnb's lead. Airbnb stands to gain in its home rental business because that would mean more digital nomads, more people traveling, and likely booking more Airbnbs.
But some travelers are concerned about rising nightly rates, and some analysts believe that hotel chains and competitors like Expedia Group stand to gain as business travel picks up this year. So the question is, can Airbnb keep up the momentum?
We're an incredibly lean company. We've already been preparing for a storm that what we thought was inevitable for years to come.
Airbnb dramatically cut costs during the pandemic, and analysts have credited the company for keeping those down even as travel rebounded. While a potential economic downturn could decrease demand, Airbnb says it could also bring more hosts to the platform.
As the economy is going to be slowing down, I think more and more people are going to be interested in saving money, and I think they're also going to be interested in new ways to make money.
So I always say that Dallas is usually a year or so behind on any kind of trends that are happening in, say, LA or New York, but I'm seeing this year way more hosts than ever before. So if we are in a recession, which we are, and they are saying we're going to see more hosts, it's already happening. So this video was put out a month ago. Well, that part is at least come true.
And unlike hotels with fixed properties, Airbnb can adapt quickly by spotlighting properties that serve travelers' changing needs, like it did during the switch to local travel.
I think even as we're entering a recession, people have been kind of isolated for years and they're yearning to get out. And the one thing I think you're going to see them spend money on is they're going to continue to travel.
Okay, just to recap, I love how it goes over so many different things. We are in a recession. There are more homes going on Airbnb. There will continue to be issues, but I do like how it says, hey, look, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but what we do know is that the demand is still there. More people are putting their homes on the platform, and it's still a growing business. So really interesting video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe if you liked the video. Thank you. See you next time.